Dortmund versus Chelsea, Wednesday night. We're going to lead with Mark here, and we'll just take a look at the betting quickly that we have at matchbook.com. Dortmund 2.48, Chelsea available at 3.15. The draw is 3.45. Both teams to score yes is 1.76, no is 2.26. The Asian handicap line sees Chelsea have a quarter of a goal head start at 1.86. And the goal line is 2.5. Mark, it feels like Graham Potter's had 2, maybe 3 starts to his Chelsea career with the World Cup break, as well as all these new signings. And they're just such a hard team to place. I don't really know where they're at the moment.
Yeah, I don't know either, to be honest. And it's what makes this the hardest game for me to assess out of all of them. I've opted for Chelsea plus the quarter, which is now 1.86. It was 1.81 when I put it into the sheet. They've obviously not been anywhere near as strong as perhaps we expected. Still so many question marks around them. New faces, huge squad, mid-season rebuild. But I just think in terms of quality on a big Champions League night, they'll have the bulk of the outstanding players on their side. Obvious match winners in Mudryk and João Felix. And I think Enzo Fernandez has already made an impact. And he'll have his hands full trying to keep Jude Bellingham quiet. And I think that's a really terrific duel to look forward to. But Chelsea have been really inconsistent, but I do think they are very slowly trending in the right direction, even if results don't necessarily say so. Reece James, Ben Chilwell back, Kovacic due back as well. I think Sterling, Fofana and Zakaria are also supposed to be available for this too. So some really, really strong options for Potter. Dortmund, really difficult to read. They've looked at a different team since Sebastian Haller's come back into the side. He's been starting an attack. They've effectively changed their system to suit him. Results have been positive. They've been playing more of a 3-5-2, trying to play off him, use his physical presence, use the width well. But actual performances haven't been as good as perhaps results have suggested. They've not been really convincing. Defensively, they are still vulnerable, especially down those flanks because they have such attacking fullbacks and wingbacks. And I think it's interesting to note they get to keep a clean sheet in 9 against top half teams in the Bundesliga, and they've conceded 2 goals more in 6 of those games as well. Saying all that, they did give Man City 2 really good workouts in the group phase. The second was more meaningless because of City pretty much being through. But at the Etihad, Dortmund were the better team until sort of Haaland kind of had a late intervention. The kind of offset that, though, was in the other 4 games against a really poor Sevilla team in Copenhagen. They weren't very good at all. So really hard to read, but so are Chelsea. So just because it sounds pretty bleak to do it this way, but just look at the wage budgets between the 2 teams. Chelsea are so strong, so well stocked in world-class talent across the board. I just kind of have to give them the nod, knowing that I've got the draw on side as well. So the only way this bet loses is if Dortmund win this first leg. So Chelsea plus a quarter, which is now 1.86.
Okay, Mark taking a leaf out of Miguel's book and looking at the wages and perhaps those teams and the money invested as maybe tipping it in their favour. Adrian, you're on the opposite end in terms of Dortmund. So what don't you like about this Chelsea team at the moment? I guess I know it's hard to tell, but it can give us something that you're not quite liking at the moment.
Well, we don't know what they are, do we? That's the bottom line. We don't know what team he's going to pick for a start, do you? He's going to have the pick of a lot of talented players, but there's no rhythm, is there, in terms of team selection? There's those partnerships, those pieces of chemistry aren't really being forged too much because from one week to the next we see different players in different positions. Talent-wise, they're unbelievable, aren't they? And like all of the new signings, João Felix looks really sharp. Enzo Fernandez is a top player. Mudryk, even though his output has been disappointing to this point, he's so quick and he's a game changer in the making, isn't he? And they are going to be a really good team, Chelsea. I'm pretty sure of that. But in the here and now, Dortmund are much more settled, aren't they? They're more settled in their own skin. They've won 7 in a row. Since the restart after the World Cup. So you contrast that with Chelsea's form, albeit in a stronger division in the Premier League. And you think, well, okay, Dortmund couldn't really be coming in much better shape, although I take Mark's view on the performances not being that good, even though the results have been fine. So no, I just think home advantage up against the Chelsea side that is not yet on the same wavelength. I think they could have problems containing them. I think Bellingham's got a chance to be a real star of this game. And to be honest, those games against Manchester City, I did watch both of them and I was really impressed with Dortmund. So maybe my view on them is slightly skewed because I saw those matchups and thought, wow, they're a decent team, Borussia Dortmund. So yeah, all of that put together, I'm seeing Dortmund winning the game, and I'm going to pair it with under 4.5 goals. I say that because 14 of the last 15 matches in all competitions for Chelsea have seen under 3.5. So they've been involved in a lot of tight, low-scoring games. And when you look at Dortmund in the Champions League, certainly less free scoring than they are domestically. So I don't see this being a free-for-all.
To complete the trio, Miguel, in terms of the match result selections, you're going with the draw here. I guess you're taking a bit of both from Mark and Adrian and setting it up beautifully.
Well, I mean, with Chelsea, it's if despite all these signings, all these changes, rather than them kind of transforming the profile of what the team is, it's as if they've just been absorbed into Potter's approach, and where he's sort of recreating Brighton in the sense that we're seeing like the same things. Lots of kind of possession, not as many chances as you expect, not as much creation as you expect, and a lot of draws. And for that, I think with this game, it's a pretty logical decision as well, especially with it being at Dortmund. And the Dortmund will fancy the chances a bit. I think they'll go at Chelsea, even allowing for kind of, I suppose, trying to figure out what Dortmund are right now. And it does just feel, even allowing for what I said earlier as well about kind of where the Premier League is right now. With Chelsea, they're quite a strange side at the moment, and playing well beneath the talent they have, which is obviously a lot of talent given all the signings. I feel quite confident about a draw here, as we'll discuss later.
Yeah, and you pair it with that both teams to score. Miguel, 4.6, that takes the 1 all in, 2 all, even beyond that as well. So, me personally, for the podcast, I'm gonna go with Adrian here in Dortmund and under 4.5 goals. I was looking at that outright price of around 55.0 this morning on Dortmund as well. I think I'll be taking a bit of that. So that bias is skewing me a little bit, but I do think that's the marginal decision for the podcast. Dortmund under 4.5, 3.05 for Adrian. Mark's going with Chelsea plus a quarter of a goal at 1.81. And Miguel drawn both teams to score 4.6.